Hey guys, and welcome to another episode. Today I'm going to be concluding the third video on how to relocate your battery from the front of your car to the rear. Now I already went ahead and brought the battery from the front of the car, placed it in the trunk, mounted it up, and secured that in place. Now when I did that, I had to remove my subwoofers that are right there. I had to take them out because I didn't have the wiring that I needed. So now that I have the battery in place, which is right here, now that I have that there, I can go ahead and reinstall my subwoofer right there in the center and have my amp hooked up to it. Because right now, the only thing that's working audio system wise is my speakers. So my subwoofer, because it's not there, it's not giving me any lows. So I'm gonna be hooking it back up so I can get them to work again. So let's jump right into it. I've got the wiring right here that I already cut up and attached a connector to. Now I showed you guys before in the last video on how to exactly do that. And my game plan is going to be attaching this little piece right here to here where the screw is. And I'm gonna run the wire underneath, directly up to an inline fuse, and then towards the amplifier. Now that's gonna be giving power to that, and that's gonna supply power to our subwoofers. And that right there is gonna make our subwoofers work. So I have my battery hooked up right here, and it's still connected to the vehicle. And right here I have the extra 0 gauge wire that I didn't use for when I installed this on the car. So I wasn't sure how much wire I'd actually need for the sound system to hook it up to the inline fuse, so I just kept it all in line. So I cut off the end of it, attached a connector to it, and then left it like that. Now I'm gonna leave this right here, that end up front, so it has enough room to connect right up to that bolt, and I'm gonna be putting that wire, all of it, I'm gonna bring it back, and I'm gonna cut it and trim it accordingly. So to get the subwoofer and the amp working, I need to get these 3 wires working. So I've got the signal wire right here, this that came from the front of the car by the head unit. I've got a negative right here, which is a ground, and I've got that hooked up right there to the chassis. And then finally, I need a positive. So this is gonna be the power supplied from the battery directly to here. And this is gonna be powering the amp, and which in turn is gonna be powering up the subwoofer. So I need to run wire right here, this, probably to somewhere around here. Now, if you can see right there, I have an inline fuse. And what this does is it allows only a certain amount of power going through here, and if too many amps, say you get a voltage spike and you run too many amps, it's not going to be ruining the wire. Instead, it's going to be ruining the little fuse that's found on top. So you take out these 2 screws and the little fuse can come right out and be replaced. Now this right there is going to be saving your amp and subwoofer should something go wrong. So this little thing you can pick up for like 20 bucks. This one came in a kit with all the speaker stuff. I'll have links to these kind of things inside the description box. You guys can pick one up if you want. But I'm going to be getting the appropriate amount of wire, cutting it, sticking it inside of there, and then tightening it up with an Allen wrench right there to hold it down. So I'm going to have the wire right here hooked up on one side, and I'm going to make some more wire hook up on the other side, which is going to attach to right there. So same kind of thing. You get an Allen key, push it down, and it's going to be holding that in place. Once that's in, we can plug this right up to the amp, and everything should get power. So here we have the inline fuse, and I've trimmed up a certain amount of wire. Now this is about the proper length that I need to get the inline fuse to be down here. So I've got it, I've trimmed it up, and this right here is going to be inserted on this side. Now the reason why I'm doing this side is just so that it's going to be going in the flow of whatever way the text is. So because the power is coming from there, it's going this way, I want to have it so the power is coming here, through there, and then this right here is going to be hooked up to this piece, which is going to be going directly to our amp. And then with it tightened up, you can see that we've got the one end in, and we're going to just be doing the exact same thing for this side. So once you have it, you push it inside the inline fuse, and then you tighten it up with an Allen wrench. And if you can see it right there, you can see the wires sticking through there. So we just want to have it so that it comes from here all the way up to there, and we can tighten it down. And now with the positive wire hooked up to the amplifier's connector, we've got to install this up to the inline fuse to the second part of it. And then everything over here is done. So we'll be able to grab the subwoofer, bring it back in here, install it, plug this into the amp, and then hook the wires that go from the amplifier up to the subwoofer up, and everything's gonna be good to go. So installing the second part of the inline fuse is gonna be the exact same way as the first one. So you just insert it in the hole, and then tighten up that little Allen wrench part right there. So with this done, we can grab our little cover for the inline fuse, put it over top. And once you hear that little click, it's done, it's installed, and this is all good to go. So we can go ahead and mount this on the back side of the amplifier right there. Then looking at the back of the amp, we can grab our wires and hook them up right here. I can't exactly see what I'm doing. There we go. So that is all connected. So from the back side of the trunk, I went ahead and put the back piece back down. And if you pull this up, you can see that I've got my spare tire, the wiring, and everything else underneath. Now over here, the way that I got this to work is I cut out a little indent on the side of this tray and on the side over here, where the wire would just tuck down underneath and it wouldn't be an issue. Now that's the negative, I'm leaving that disconnected for now. But I'm gonna get my subwoofer and put it in the back and see if I can mount everything up and get everything to work. All right, so now with the subwoofers mounted in the car, we need to strap them in place with a couple ratchet straps. That's the only way that I've been able to keep it in place without moving, considering my driving. I've tried L brackets before, I've tried many other methods. If you ask me, this is the easiest, most efficient way of keeping them in place, and you can take it out easily. Now the battery, it isn't hooked up yet, so you can see the negative terminal isn't mounted. Now if we go to the inside of the car, but we have our wires right here for our subwoofer that we need to hook up. So if you check on the back side of the amp, if you guys saw before, that's where they mount up, right over here. So once you hook those in, everything should be good. So everything back here should be all sorted. We've got our ground hooked up. We have our power wire hooked up to our inline fuse, going right here up to the subwoofer, or actually to the amplifier rather. So from right to left, we have our power, we have our ground, we have our signal wire, we have our RCA cables, and we have the wires for our subwoofer, okay? So we have two of them on each because we have two subs. We have a power and a ground for each one. Now finally, we can go back here to the trunk and put our ground back on the battery. And there we are. So with that on, we have our LEDs on, just like normal. So if everything went all smoothly and everything works properly, when I put the key in the ignition, I should hear something. Well, as you can tell, I already see the LEDs, but let's just check. Okay, that's good, that's good. Now, when I turn the car on and turn the audio system on, I should also hear my subs pushing air. And there you guys have it. That's how you install your subwoofer, your battery, you put everything in the rear trunk. That's how you get it to all work properly. So if you guys haven't seen the first two parts of this where I started playing around with the battery beforehand, I'll have links to those in the description box along with everything that I used today and before during this entire process. So if you guys have any questions, throw it down in the comment section below and I'd be happy to help. Again guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. Now to the guys that are wondering what's going on with the Mini, stay tuned, I promise stuff is coming. I've got to get my daily driver up and going and good to go before I can start working on the race car. Well, because, I've got this to go, I've got this on the go, and I even have school. So stay tuned, I promise I'll have stuff coming out for this thing, don't you worry. Thanks for watching guys, I'll see you guys later.